Welcome, everyone. And today we have a packed 1 hour, and our speaker is going to be Keaton, and he's the person I get to know a couple years ago. Is a young business owner. I'm really, really excited that he can uh, donating his time, basically helping to share some of his entrepreneur journey. He started his own company 5 years ago, and it's quite successful. And he just told us before this meeting he started a second business now. So I'm eager to hear his story. This is today's itinerary, and you have a general idea. Normally, we give the speaker a little bit of time to share their story, and then we open up the floor for Q&A. So now I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Vision to Reality Foundation. Our foundation is a 100% online community to support the newcomers come to BC who likes to start their own company. And we also welcome anyone have an entrepreneur mind, or they wanted to start a business in the future, or they're just interested in to see where their career will take them. And in our community, as of now, we have around 250 members, which is a private member, and also the member contained by the newcomers, local business owner, and the local professionals. So we offer two online program every single month, one workshop by the local professionals to share how you start your business and different steps. The second event online each month is the storytelling. So we're inviting the local business owner. They can share their stories, how they start, what the struggle they went through, and how they becoming successful, and to give everybody a little bit of, share the real life of an entrepreneur. So our organization welcome everybody join our community to help each other and to benefit from this organization as well. The most rare part for our organization is we're a multicultural community, currently member coming from all 5 continents in the world. That's what I'm most proud of. So thank you. Now I'm going to pass to Keaton. And he owns a property management company as of now. And they just starting to have a few staff to helping him running the business. But now we like to hear his stories.
Thanks, Winnie. Thanks for the intro, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, I guess we got 20 minutes of storytelling. Hopefully this will help some of you, spark some interest in, actually starting your own business and helping you through that fear, which me and Carlos were joking about earlier, is smart to have, because it's a difficult thing to run a business, and it takes a lot, and you should be a little bit scared of the unknown, but it just makes you kind of figure all that out. So I've broken this down. I'm just going to set a timer here quickly. I've broken this down into kind of 5 areas. So we've got the dream, and then the reality of the stupid dream that I felt like I had at the time. Practicalities, like getting to work and actually putting things into place, execution of the actual business, and then now kind of where we're at today. So coming out of high school in 2003, I grew up in Port Moody. Coming out of high school, I was working at McDonald's and worked in a warehouse, packing food in a freezer, basically. Just working hard, trying to put myself through school because I wanted to go to business school, because I wanted to own a business. What that was, no idea. Just thought business people are cool, they make money, I'll go do that. That was my entire premise, essentially. I ended up moving into working in a kitchen at Joey Restaurant Group, which I'm sure some of you will find familiar. And working there, really learned how much I love to serve people, and be part of that, talking to people all the time, being around people, and that really got me thinking into, I worked in a couple of nightclubs and restaurants, and I thought, okay, nightclub seems pretty cool, people show up, lots of money flying around, and then you understand how risky a nightclub is. You find an income statement, somebody tells you what's on this income statement, and it's like, okay, this is not the best business to have. So moving into more of a restaurant side of things, like Joey's was very structured, had a lot of systems in place, very, very complicated business, but seemed to be doing well. Looked at that further and thought, this is also crazy to think that like one person can start a business like this. In my mind, just like $1 million construction build out, let alone all the other liabilities and stuff. And, you get it. I got into it deeper and realized this business has been around for, 30 years. And it was started by somebody who he was one of the largest owners of A&W franchises across Western Canada. And so he was doing that for 30, 35 years. So this is a business built off of 65 years of experience and money. And that's why, they're as big as they are today. But I still wanted to, own a restaurant and take care of people. And so going into the reality part of the section, it's like, it is stupid, risky, expensive. I don't have any money. I make $20 an hour and some tips. No investors, no education, and essentially just like no idea as to what I'm actually doing. But I really, really wanted to do it. So I learned that I had to be practical about this and obviously make an income. So I worked. So from just being interested in, working in a kitchen, interested in, serving tables and bartending, to like trying to find out how these businesses actually operate, and started being interested in management of the business. And at a company like Joey's, they're always trying to promote people as they're constantly expanding. So I kind of caught that wave and was able to move into, higher and higher roles within a restaurant, eventually getting to the point where I'm essentially running a $7 million business with 100 staff. But the day-to-day kind of development of that is that you go through your server training. You do that for a month. Then you figure out, okay, I know how to serve tables by myself now. Nobody's over my shoulder watching me do this. And then you start learning that people, like the way you might do things because you've really focused on it. And so you serve for 3 or 4 months, and then you realize, okay, the bartenders make more money than the servers. Okay, so how can I get on the bar? And just keep asking those questions and keep moving in a direction that other people have already done. So like you talk to the management, I've dishwashed and then served and then bartended and then got to management. Okay, just follow that path unless an easier path smacks you in the face, and kind of work towards that, right? So learned to do that, bartended, got into managing, a floor, writing floor plans, covering 6 shifts, moving the schedule around, then writing the schedule, placing orders for the whole restaurant, and then eventually managing a $7 million budget, hiring and firing, dealing with, staff. It's restaurants, so staff are doing a whole bunch of different things, or part-time staff, full-time staff, and just getting just figuring out how to get it done, taking the best practices from other people you're working with, and then also creating your own, just from your own interest and knowledge and experience in that industry. Restaurants also allowed me to work way too much and burn out. And so people talk about burning out as working too much, but if you're working 100 hours a week, it's something you love and you have control of, you don't necessarily burn out. You burn out where you're working too much and you don't have control of things and you're not the decision maker. And that just it's not sustainable. People just get there's no enthusiasm around it anymore. And so I learned that I needed to take my knowledge of running a $7 million business and move it into a different industry to just kind of give myself a break and some breathing room. So I did end up changing careers into property management. My family, my grandparents, and my father all in property management and development their entire lives. And so I moved over to property management. And from running a $7 million business, moving over to property management, my job was don't break the photocopier and answer the phone, right? It's very, I went from 100 staff to doing something that's very, very rudimentary. But it was very interesting how restaurants and property management or accounting, lawyers, it's still a service business. It's services. So you're taking care of a problem that people either don't have time to do, don't want to do, or don't know how to do, or a combination of those things. And so applying what I knew in restaurants to property management, there was obviously a massive customer service gap where it was not even like people treated them as customers. It was just like, no, these are your rights. Otherwise, take a hike, get lost. I don't really care. And people were just way overworked, and that was just the way it was. So there was an obvious opportunity there. I could have just tucked into however all my other colleagues were doing it, and putting in your hours and clocking out and taking off for the day when you're done and making your money. But because I wanted to own a business from the start, and that's a big caveat here. If you want to own a business, you look at the world in a different way versus just I want my paycheck to get out of here. I was able to just outwork and outposition myself to take on more opportunities that they came up. And in an industry like property management, people are always trying to get rid of a building they don't like. They're just trying to get rid of problems because there's always an easier one to tackle. And those are just the clock punchers. And there are a lot of people just doing that. They're there for their career. They're not actually trying to build up a business. And when you learn how to take on all the worst properties or the worst clients or the worst, tables or sections or staff, when you learn how to deal with those, the easy ones are really easy. Like you've learned how things can go really badly. And so I not on purpose put myself in that scenario, just kind of take on any problem situation and figure it out. And that's the premise of entrepreneurship at the end of the day. You don't have to own your own business to think entrepreneurially and solve problems. I often say we're just breaking shit and throwing things at the wall to see what we're going to be able to get out of it and to see how it's going to work, as long as you know the consequences of it not working to begin with. So this is the practicality piece. So I worked the restaurants, learned how to run a business, moved into another industry, earning a higher income opportunities, and another industry that also I was interested in and needed, it also needed help. And from there, I was able to take both of those knowledges, and I actually ended up going back to restaurants, thinking that I left without really applying myself. Quickly learned that I did not want to work in a restaurant company. I wanted to have my own. Went actually back to property management after about a year to literally the same companies. So went from Joey's to Gateway, from Gateway to Joey's, and then back to Gateway. And each time got a promotion coming back because I wasn't going to move unless they did. And then at the end of it, just learned that it's not the companies, it's not the industry, it's me. I'm unemployable. I do not want to work for anybody. It's got nothing to do with where, like, I'm not, I don't do T4s. I don't want to work under somebody else. And that was the end for that. So I ended up determining that it's a lot cheaper and less risky to start in property management than in food. And that was just my determination. Through this process, I also learned a lot about personal finance. And so when I moved from restaurants to property management, the first time I had $52,000 in just consumer debt, not real estate investment debt. I had a car on a lease or something at the time, but just credit card garbage. And the first trip me and my current wife went on when she was my girlfriend was to New York, and I just put everything on the credit card, no problem. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Another $10,000 is another $100 a month in interest. Who cares? It's fine. And learning a lot about personal finance, learning to get out of debt, get all that stuff off my plate. I ended up paying $50,000 of debt off in 21 months, working a lot, making all my meals at home, didn't have a car on purpose, rode my bike to work, just scorched earth until I got rid of it all. And then when I got rid of it all, I realized I had $3,000 a month that I didn't have anything to do with anymore because it wasn't going to debt. And right around that time, I clued in as to okay, well, if I had $3,000 a month to just throw at a company, this is a really easy way to start a business. It's almost brain dead at that point. And so applying that, I saved up some money. I ended up moonlighting as you have to be licensed to be a property manager, which I was, but you can also do unlicensed services if you're an employee of the real estate owner. So I found a large developer that owned some commercial property that they needed a property manager for. So I went and worked for them while I was doing my exams and stuff to get my managing broker's license, which then allowed me to open my own. property management firm. So that was kind of the transition to starting the company. Once I started the company, I started from scratch. So you set up your corporation, you get your insurance in place, you get your brokerage set up with the real estate council, which no longer exists, but got that going, opened a trust account, opened an operating account with the help of like accountant friends and just asking around, trying to figure out how to do it. Made my own website. I hate making websites, but I did it and just figured it out, and started taking clients just from people I knew in the business and just literally talking to other business owners and other people and trying to post on Instagram as much as I could and just doing anything I could to do that up. I spoke with my wife about our household budget, and we determined that if I had no income, we'd be $1,500 short a month to run our budget. So I just had to go and make $1,500 a month. Thankfully, a good thing about working at restaurants is that you can work part-time in restaurants. And so I picked up a part-time job bartending for 3 days a week, brought in that money that we needed for the household. And then every other hour of the day was spent trying to pick up clients and, take care of them and just figure it out. After about 6 months, I was able to pick up a reasonable sized client. There's a full apartment building. That was about $3,000 a month in income on top of my other maybe 10 clients that I had for another 1,000. And now I didn't have to work part-time anymore. But even like I went from bartending to working construction because a friend owned a construction company and he was allowing me to just show up on site whenever because they already had labor built in. And he said the faster the job gets done, the faster we can bill and make the money for it. So I would show up, give me a hard hat and a suit and told me what to do, give me a nail gun and just poking holes, phone would ring, get off the ladder, answer a client call, close that deal, get back up on the ladder and start punching holes in the wall. Then I found an accounting company who needed help with bookkeeping services. So I did bookkeeping services as a contractor, but just like wherever I was working on my computer. So that allowed me to do like more flexible part-time work. And then that's when I got that larger client and was able to kind of dump all that and actually hired the accounting firm or bookkeeping firm that I was working for before to help me with my bookkeeping once I had to switch over. So from there, it's just been kind of allowing me to do like run the business how I want to run the business now. So we're really focused on the individual consumer investor. So people who may understand it a bit, but do need that extra professional help because they have that experience already at the property management firm. Our client services are a little bit different, again, because of the experience that I had working with people in the restaurant industry. And so I'm able to kind of create my own company with my own target client, with my own, timelines and service standards. And I wouldn't know, like we have nearly 500 Google reviews for our company and we have 4 staff. But if you just search our company, it looks like some large company because of how many reviews we have and how many people interact with us. It's just because I know how to do Google reviews because I was managing a restaurant and a restaurant has tons of Google reviews or they're out of business. And so just these different things in completely different industries always apply into how you're going to do your own thing. And that's the best part about why they call it your business. Not your business because you're in control of it. It's your business because it's yours and you get to make your own decisions about it. You get to do it however you want to do it as long as it, maintains your lifestyle and things. So that's 15 minutes. I've just got a couple other notes here just for aspiring business owners. Like when I was growing up thinking about being a business owner, I always thought you had to jump into this opportunity or take a big risk. And it's not like that at all. Just learn an industry, trade, or skill that you think you'll enjoy because of what you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. So don't think, I think engineers are cool, I'm going to go be an engineer. And then you don't like working by yourself on very high detail projects all day in an office. You want to be outside doing something. It's like, okay, well then don't be an engineer because you got to focus on the project, right? It's like, if you like talking to people, go do something where you're going to be talking to people all the time. If you like working alone, pick something where you're going to be working alone all the time. Working on creative projects, working in detail or not, or working on site or in an office. It's really that simple at the end of the day. That's how you generate an income, experience, meet colleagues, and kind of get exposure to these other things. And because you're an aspiring business owner, you're always going to look at things from a different angle, a different perspective, and like you're going to be motivated to look at things in a different way than just an employee, right? I guess the last thing I have to say is that like there's always somebody, like there's 80-20 rule, right? So there's 20% of the people do 80% of the work. It works in math everywhere. There's always somebody willing to provide $100,000 in economic value in exchange for $50,000 for just their employment, their salary, like their employment rights and stability. And that's the difference between a business owner and an employee. The business owner takes on the risk of that difference, and the reward is that difference. It's the same reason why even very smart and driven people give up additional economic value or profit from owning a business, just so they don't have to worry about it. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about it, go get a job in an industry you think you will enjoy, and just continue to pay attention and work and just be excellent at it, because a lot of people aren't excellent at things. You'll just go past them. That's my story. That's my 20 minutes.
You can take longer if you have more interesting stories to share. Like, did you meet any really difficult clients and how you handle them? Those kind of stories always helping us.
Mm-hmm. So we actually, difficult clients, I apply my same thing to restaurants and to property management. So I'm a big believer, and as a business owner, if you don't believe this, it's going to be really tough, but I'm a big believer that like the vast majority of people, well in the 90 percentile, are very good. And if they're upset about something, there's a very high chance that if you were in their same scenario, you would be just as upset or even more upset than they are. And so if you learn about the customer perspective and really, really think about it, that's going to help you a lot. So I have a quick story about a customer who came in on a Sunday. It was like a Sunday kind of in between the brunch and the dinner rush. And I think they were the only restaurant on the table. I was managing the floor. A server runs over and said, "Hey, their food's taken forever. I don't know what's going on." And so I went over to the table and said, "Hey, so sorry, your food's taken so long. It looks like the bill just got lost in the kitchen. So we've taken this," I did the standard restaurant answer, "We've taken care of your bill. So, your food will be out in a moment." Not really thinking about what they might be doing or if they're in a rush or anything. And we got their food, and the person, the couple was sitting there, and the man was very well dressed, and he just looked at me. And he literally took a wad of $100 bills out of his chest pocket and started slamming them on the table, saying, "I don't care about the money. I travel a lot for business, and I'm here once a month, and me and my wife go out for dinner, and then we go to a movie. And now we've got to wait another half hour for our dinner, we're going to get shitty seats in the movie theater, and then our night's going to be ruined. So I don't care about the money." And for whatever reason, because I'm an entrepreneurial, problem-solving person, I thought, we did this in high school where you swap out the tickets to get your friends in. So I asked them, "Do you have your tickets?" He said, "What do you mean, do I have my tickets?" I said, "Do you have your tickets?" "Of course I do." I said, "Can we have them?" And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. And I said, "Give me the ticket. Give me a ticket. I'm going to send one of our staff over to the movie theater right now, and they're going to sit in the best seat in the house. And I'm going to give you her phone number. And then you guys are going to eat your dinner. And then you're going to go over to the movie theater with your ticket. And she's going to come down, you're going to go up, and you'll have the best seats in the house, but you don't have to leave until later on." And just his whole demeanor changed. Like, he went from complete unreasonable asshole to, wow, problem solved, right? And they got their food, they enjoyed themselves, they went to the movie, they ended up coming back, spending a bunch of money on drinks and that kind of thing. And they came back a few times after that as well, wrote some big email to our head office about the customer service. And then at the bottom of the email was his email signature with what he does. And he is the president of a law firm, and it has all the cities along the bottom, and it's San Francisco, Vancouver, New York, like Taipei, like all through the Philippines. And I was like, holy crap, this guy's a big deal. So it doesn't matter how difficult a client is, think about why. Like, think about what the problem is, because you're going to be able to apply a lot of that stuff to all of your other clients, all of your other situations, and it makes your life a lot easier. And solving problems where profit comes from. So
That's a great story. I just love it. And now we have a question from Carlo. Carlos, you can just speak out.
Okay. So my question is, how long did you stay working part-time? And did you have struggles that made you rethink to keep going with this business or not?
When I started my business, you mean how long did I work part-time?
Yes. Yes.
I think it was about 8 months. I was part-time. And the progression of that was that I started working in a business that was very, very easy for me, but also still fun. So it wasn't even a bar, it wasn't even a restaurant or a bar, it was a brewery. So like pouring beer and handing out French fries was basically the job. So the job was very, very easy to execute, not a lot of brain power, but very, very busy and a lot of people and a lot of fun. So that kept me going for the first bit until I just found another job that would generate more money. So I had to work less on it, but it was also more flexible. So it was just less stress and more manageable. And then that next job doing the bookkeeping was even better because it was the same work, same pay as the construction job, but I could do it from wherever I was. I was literally doing accounting work and then doing my company work and going back and forth and just tracking my time, billing for it and getting the work done. So it was a matter of like, if you're not continually making it easier for yourself, like getting the really big boundaries out of the way, you got to focus on that. You see change and that continues to motivate you further. And it's just every single time I turn around, because I'm working in that direction, you just get stuff falling on your lap. Like people say they put stuff out to the universe and it comes back to them, which I just think is a bunch of crap. That is exactly what happens. The more you talk about things and share with people what you're doing and you're focused on what you're doing, people just solve stuff for you. It's incredible. They just send things. You'll just get an email from somebody, hey, like, I have a friend that does this. You're like, no shit, this is exactly what I was looking for. Just because you're working towards it. Like people all want to take care of everybody. People want to help. People are very generous in general. And that just keeps adding up over and over and over again. You got to be responsible. You got to pay attention. You got to put a good plan together. You have to solve a problem. But you learn that through just being, your top 20% in whatever industry or business you start off working in, right? What sucks because you're looking at your colleagues who are not very good. It just happens. It can't not happen. There's always going to be somebody on the lower half and always somebody on the higher half. Just be on the higher half.
Thanks for sharing. That was a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I truly believe that too. Like a vision to reality, we start in fall 2021. And basically I had no clue, no idea, just had the passion, just thinking this foundation will help people. Will help the people they wanted to start business, will help the people they have an entrepreneur mind. And when they come to Canada, or come to BC as their new home, and they're not 100% sure what to do, and they're worried, they're scared, or maybe just a young student, they come out of school, but they're wanted to start their own company, and what we can provide to help them. And since fall 2021, and I'm basically anybody I meet, I talk about this business, and then people just sending people to us. And now our organization, we have around 250 members. Totally passed our business plan. We wrote a business plan October 2022. We were thinking to have 500 members by December 2023. And today we already have 250. So the speed is grow because people hear your passion, people know your directions. So I really, really appreciate what Keaton talked about. Now we open the floor for questions. And of course, I have several questions on my list, but I'm hoping the audience can
There's
share
a question from Susan Never saying, what
Yeah.
software do you use for property management? And did you use it from the beginning when you started?
Software. So working in property management as an employee before, I came across many awful industry leader softwares that are just way too expensive and not going to work for a small business. So the first few clients were literally off of an Excel sheet. And I learned all my Excel skills from working in the restaurant business, putting together food costing, bar costing, and scheduling, and then got into obviously brought that over to property management. We started using Airtable, just as a fancy version of, Excel essentially. And we still use that to this day. We almost run our entire company off of it because it's so versatile, and it really, really uses a lot of logical thinking to make, dashboards and filters and things that are timed. And now they've more automations and things are on there as well. So there's, I probably sit in probably 2 to 3 calls a week about somebody trying to sell me another property management tech software. And I give them about 5 minutes. I ask them, what does this do? Like, why is this any different than all the other junk that I've talked about, or people have shared with me lately? And they either have a good thing or they don't. And those conversations have actually got me involved. And I'm a consultant for one small prop tech company. I'm currently working with another larger prop tech company, looking in partnership or consulting for them, just because I welcomed these conversations and then learned about kind of how people are working. And then some people just wanted to hire me as a consultant or bring me in as a partner in their business, like an advisor. But it's because I sat through so many of these conversations and really understood why a software is good or not in this industry. What problem does it actually solve? And again, that comes from the entrepreneurial mind, wanting to fix things and make them better, right?
That's great, because Suzanne also a manager for property management in US. That's why she's asking the questions.
Yeah, we'd love to chat with you offline on that, Susan. Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of our members here and also the mentor, and she's helping other young people to moving forward in their life right now. So really appreciate.
Awesome.
I have a question for all those odd jobs or different jobs you did before you start your own business. So at the time during your story sharing, you talk about even during your working on any kind of job in your mind, you're always thinking what I can learn here, what I can pick up, and what kind of things they're doing and I like to do, or what kind of things they're doing I don't like to do. So were you consciously like a learning, consciously pay attention? So those kind of a work, you didn't thinking them just a regular job, but actually it's a chance for you to accumulate some initial money and save basically serve your own lifestyles. And then at the same time, you're also learning other things. I'd like you to elaborate that part a little bit. And because we have many young people, they just either move here or just starting their careers, and they have to find an entry-level job. And what kind of things they should look through those different kind of a lens.
Mm-hmm. It really doesn't matter what entry-level job you get, as long as you're like generating some money. Like, you got to get started somehow. If you can feed yourself, put a roof over your head, get some transportation going, then good. Now you have some space to figure out what else you're going to do. And if you're working hard and you have some sort of plan of things you want to do, you really don't have to work that job you might not like for like 3 months until you find another one. It's okay. It's okay to jump around. Just don't burn your bridges, give adequate notice, offer to train the new person coming in. Just be a good person and good employee altogether, because you also never know when you're going to run into that other person that you're working with as well, right? But you get into, whether you go work at like Freshie or something and you're just wrapping, you're just making food for people. There's still things from there to apply to whatever else you're ever going to do. Every business, the basics is that people pay that business to give it something in exchange. That's it. And people pay for value, and you will learn small bits of value, large bits of value. Like, why does somebody pay $17 for a wrap from Freshie? And why does somebody pay, $1 billion to build 1,200 homes at like the city of Lougheed, which is where I'm located? These people have paid that money. Like, why? And you learn why people pay money and why they are frowning sometimes when they pay certain money for things, and why they're smiling. Like, what makes people smile and what makes people want to pay for things. I'd also say any problems that come up when they're problems that are outside of the normal day, if you're standing around, just cleaning and it's a smooth day and then a problem happens, you don't have to be the one to solve it, but understand how it gets solved. Like try to be involved in it and just see how people that are good problem solvers deal with things and how people that are bad problem solvers try to deal with things and make it even worse. A staff member could be having a bad day and then a manager comes over and talks to them and then they start crying and they quit. It's like, well, if the manager didn't go over there, they wouldn't have quit. Like what happened there? And you got to think about that other person as well. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. So can you just give a couple of examples in the beginning you made a mistake and you realize you made a mistake, and how you resolve it?
When you make a mistake, you have to realize the consequences that you've now put the other person in, right? A mistake is really easy to say, okay, I made a mistake and just walk away from it. Well, you've now left somebody else with a problem to clean up. So what is that problem? You should not put yourself in a position where if you do make a mistake, you can't make up for it, whether it's financially or time-wise or whatever. Like same reason we have as a property management company, you have errors and omissions insurance. So if we do make a mistake, which we don't because you set up systems that are, it's very hard to make mistakes. You use templates and, timers and automated systems and these kind of things. So things are not missed and you are reminded. But when you do make a mistake, if we made a big one, we have general liability insurance, we have errors and omissions insurance, we have extra errors and omissions insurance. So if we made a mistake that cost somebody $150,000, we have insurance for that. They can get a check to take care of the problem. They might not like you. It's okay. You don't have to be liked, but just make sure you're in a position to satisfy solving the problem that, like paying for the problem and the mistake that you made. You might not know all the possible mistakes, but that's where you need to be. That's why you need to work in an industry for a bit to understand the bad problems and understand how things actually play out. Because people like business owners that fail, they fail because they didn't know what was going to happen to them. I joke about handyman companies. I always tell people you only ever have a handyman company for about 9 months because the handyman either gets really busy and big and starts building homes or the CRA gets them. And that's like the two outcomes. It's not how all of them work out, but that's the basics of it. That's been my experience in it. And you just got to make sure you're watching that downside and you learn from other people's failures, which is why you want to listen to other business owners. You want to be involved in the community, go to, Chamber of Commerce events, join BNI, join Vision to Reality, and just be involved in that. So you can hear all the really boring things that you need to set up one time. And then you just never deal with it ever again, hopefully. But if it does, it doesn't bankrupt you and screw the other person that you've been working with. So.
Yeah, we all been through there. And I wish in the beginning when I start business, I have somebody, told me to set up a credit card or maybe set up a GST account. And I basically had no idea until realize it's the time you're supposed to do it. So this is why now we're starting the organization to try to show those little tips for the people starting just in the beginning, not getting troubles with the tax office, not getting troubles in the cities or province, those regulatory issues. So if in the beginning you have, I saw Leela raise hand, right? So Leela, do you want to ask the question?
Yes, please. Hello. I would like to know how old were you when you opened your first business, your first own business? Sorry, I don't know if it's unpolite to ask it, but I really want to know.
Yeah, you're only as old as how you feel mentally. I'm still an idiot 16-year-old. So right. No, but I was, so it's 4.5 years ago. So I was 32 when I started my business. And I probably wanted to start it when I was 19, but I wanted to open a nightclub because I just thought it was cool, which is not a good reason to start a business. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
asking. Still really young.
Yeah, I'm just asking it because as a newcomer, I am still studying and I have been here for 1 year now and almost 1 year. and I do need to finish another post degree, and then I need to apply for PR. So I do have a long path to maybe can think about opening my own business. And of course, I do have this concern about age, because I know that I do have like at least 4 years or 5 years to get my PR. And after that, like, if you can give me some tip or advice, because I am afraid of being too old, or at least like older, much older, to try to open my own business, because I do have a child, and I cannot play with it, So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect question. Two things. One, you're too old to have your own business when you're dead. Okay, that's the first thing, period. And the second thing is, no matter what position in your life you are in, whether you're a newcomer, whether you've been here for a long time, whether you're a single mom, any of that stuff, there's always somebody just within the people that you already know, there's always going to be somebody, especially if you ask, there's always going to be somebody who is in a similar or more difficult situation than you, or started there and got where you want to be. And that is for everybody. That will never end. There's always somebody who's achieved more from where you are. And it's not about they're better than you. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's that they are a roadmap to do that. And people love, especially people that accomplish things, they love being asked how you did it. Right? Because I think everybody likes that. And so I would ask, like, I'm just making up your situation, but it's like I don't have my PR yet. I might be a single mother or not. Who in your network knows somebody like that who has a business and has had it for 2 or 3 years? Because if that's where you want to be today, that would be amazing for you. Okay, how did they do it? And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have I shouldn't have done it. I regret this whole thing. Like, what a mistake. No, they're going to be so excited that you've asked them, and they're going to lay it out. And you're like, wow, it's a lot of work, but it's not impossible. Not even close. And even with your PR stuff, people often worry about, I can't do things. And they just say no. It's like, no. What can you line up? How close can you get before you're legally allowed to do something? And that's how I've started my food service business. I'm serving hot sandwiches off a table. I don't have a food truck. It's all legal. It's all, the health board's approved everything. It's all good. But it's a very, very, very inexpensive food service business, just because I thought about the actual rules and figured out a way around them legally.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And
thank you.
Yeah, Lila came here about a year ago with her husband and a little girl, and they wanted to build a new life here. And so she works really hard in her school right now. But she always wanted to have a better future, of course, for their family.
Mhm.
And so Lila, I can introduce you to some of the women's leadership organization, and to connect you with them. And many of the women, similar situations you, started here, and they becoming very, very successful. We're doing really well for themselves in Canada here, and also growing their business. So after the meeting, you can send me a message. I'll connect you to those organizations.
Sure, thank
There's
you.
Go work
Sorry.
for one of those people too.
So if you can just introduce some of those people. And we have several special women organizations that are supporting women in business, where women wants to start business. So they have a mentorship there. They have people work in front of us, or to lead us. So I'm really excited that there's many of these kind of organizations. So now I see MJ has a question. And
There's a question as well from Modla Lebula. She's asking, what advice would you give to someone trying to keep up their business running against all odds?
So without context, if this is an actual current situation or not, if it's against all odds and it's not a viable business, then you need to learn if it's not a viable business, and make a decision to shut it down or pivot it. Because it's way easier to work for somebody in a failing business than it is to run your own and try to shut it down. because you can just quit and go get a job or something. But shutting down your own business is a little bit more of an ego smack, and it's something that you had a lot of passion in. Otherwise, you wouldn't put up with all the crap you have to deal with as a business owner to start it in the first place. But I would really look at it. And actually, I have a friend who very successful in marketing as a career, like as an employee, and then he went off and started a company in marketing, but it was more of like a brick and mortar situation rather than like a broker of marketing situations. And from the start, he knew he didn't even want to be in it. And he thinks, oh, who would ever run a business in this field? And it keeps coming back to like, he just doesn't like doing the business that he opened. Other people run very successful businesses doing exactly what he's doing, but he just shouldn't be doing this business. And so sometimes, like to him, he will say things like, oh, I'm just, this isn't feasible. I'm going against all odds. Like, no. You just don't like this business. It's different. And it's because of that, the business loses money or just breaks even, or he's not paying himself enough or whatever. And so I would really check against that. And if you're in an industry where there's other competitors, understand that there are people in that industry that are doing excellent. Why? There's always a role model. There's always somebody to look after. Like, if you're in marketing, for example, and you have like a little web development, part-time business for now, don't look at Gary V as your competition. That's not what I'm talking about. Go look at somebody who has, 2 staff doing development and they're still doing development as well. And like, what are they doing differently?
So Keaton, so you've mentioned that it's important to have focus and attention, passion, and also the attitude, according to what you're saying.
Yeah. Focus on like what you like doing, and then the business ideas and the problems to solve will just come to you. Every industry has problems that piss everybody off. Go figure out how to solve those, but just make money providing the service or the product that people pay for already, right? Go do something that's already being done. Just do it better. That's all I'm doing in the property management business. Google property management. There's tons and tons of competitors. But I've just paid attention to Google reviews, and so we look way better because that's where people search for property managers. But it could happen in any industry, right? But yeah, just make sure go ahead.
No, there's Diljot wants to ask something. Diljot, please.
Hi, Keaton. Thank you for sharing your experience here today.
Hi.
I had a question on maintaining high risk clients or hard clients, the clients that are hard to deal with. What are the key advantages do you see for a business entrepreneur or a business owner to have or to keep maintaining those clients that are hard to keep up with their services, or that requires way more services than a regular client would?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, it's your business, it's not theirs. So they don't tell you what to do. If you want to be told what to do, get a job, right? If you need that client to make your business succeed, your business model is wrong. Because again, it's not their business, it's your business. So difficult clients, there's either difficult clients that can be helped and taken care of profitably, or there isn't. They're unsustainable clients, right? So my advice on that side, if you're calling them clients versus customers, if you're doing professional services or kind of service work for people, figure out how to serve more clients so that you're not worried about firing this one.
Right. Okay.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. You really have to pick the right fit. If the client, not able to get satisfaction from your business, doesn't matter from the money standpoint or your service standpoint, they're not your client. They can find somebody else to serve them, and you can serve way more people who they appreciate your work and your business.
Right. Or could we see that in a way that, as you said, for profit point of view, that you can actually have a better margin into those clients versus other clients, so that you can actually have a better revenue on your books? Let's say or it would be easier for you to compete against your competitor because they're not be chasing those hard clients. So you can easily have like a certain level of service that do you think is acceptable from their side, but it's still hard to maintain on your side. But then that's just could be used as a strategy to retain those clients versus a competitor.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have a bunch of clients where you're not profitable with them and you know that, and you're just doing it to keep the business going, well, you keep doing that until you get better clients, right? It's just where you're at, unfortunately. You may be able to look at, like, I know the first client we ever fired, he took up probably 50% of my time. We had 10 clients. And I just like, I'm a math person and I'm logical, but when you're like in it, you don't take that second to think about it. And so one day I realized, oh, I don't need this guy. Like the worst case scenario, I'll go back and take a couple shifts at the brewery because I didn't, I gave them a lot of notice and they'd love to have me back. Like I would have it was literally $200 a month. So it was one shift a week or one shift a month at the brewery instead of this guy. And it's like, I go to the brewery as a customer now. I pay to go there today, right? And so when I got rid of him, it was like, holy crap, this is amazing. And then, it was fine. He was just not profitable because I'm running around, trying to take care of him all the time, right? But it just wasn't, there's a certain point where you can't turn a client profitably, like you can't turn them into a profitable client. And you will learn that as you build out your service model and your business,
right?
But you really have to pay attention to that. You're supposed to lose money for a while because like you need to figure out what you're actually doing. And then once you actually solve, if you are making money, it's because you solved the problem. If you're not making money, you have your own business, but you would make more money being employed because you're just doing something that, people are just underpaying you basically. And that's
right.
your fault.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I got a last question on, you mentioned when people would have a dream of opening up their business. Would you agree on this fact that if a business is more focused on services as property management this requires less fixed cost at the beginning when you need to start the business compared to if you would have to start a restaurant or any other business that require lots of inventory or lots of marketing at the very beginning, so it's more costly than just a service-based business?
It depends. So like the sandwich company that I've started costs $4,000 to start. The property management business costs $10,000 to start, even though it is service, right? But I could open a restaurant like Joey's and spend $1 million, right? So it all depends on like I'm starting the sandwich restaurant so I can save enough money with the restaurant or the sandwich table literally to then buy another table and hire somebody to work that one and then buy another one. And then once you have 4 or 5, you can save enough money to then buy a food truck. And I want to do all this without debt. That's the goal. So just like you just go write a check and go buy $100,000 food truck because I've got 10 tables serving all these sandwiches that everybody loves so much. And then now we got a food truck. It's going to be busy. We already know that. And now we're just writing a check. Right. So that's the whole plan around that. But it's a very inexpensive business model. So just figure out how to do that. But you also have to be an expert in that industry. So you go work there for a couple of years and figure it out. But like do an excellent job because they already know more than you about that industry. They have a business you don't. Learn and then go do something, right?
No, that sounds good. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
thank you.
Susan has a question. Ask Keaton, how do you increase the positive Google reviews? Do you ask your clients or how you approach that?
Yeah, so first thing is going to be you need to, like, we don't filter our Google reviews. So there are a lot of companies out there that like, oh, we'll make sure you only get positive Google reviews, and they will set up template messages to your clients to check in on your experience without giving them the Google review link. And then if they say, oh, everything was wonderful, 5 out of 5. Okay, cool. Here's the Google review link. Can you please tell Google? And it's just a shady way of doing it. We don't do that. We just literally ask everybody and we give them the link, whether it's in our text message platform, whether I have a text replacement where I'm sharing it with, friends and business owners and people who interact with us. If I go to a property and things were good, I'll send it to them. We ask clients literally every month in our financial emails. It's just always there. And like even just 2 weeks ago, we've had a client for over a year. They didn't review us at all. And then they just reviewed us out of nowhere. They received no automated messages. We didn't do anything with them that month. I think it was like 3 days before the regular monthly email with the financials and our newsletter and everything, where they actually sent the review. So it's like they went back in and decided we're going to review them now, and they knew where it was because it was everywhere. But you have to ask, and then you also have to be prepared to answer the bad ones in a way that like the person that you're replying to on Google, it doesn't matter what they think. People are going to be reading how you respond, and they're going to be looking at how many good reviews you have versus how many bad reviews you have, and then how do you take care of the bad reviews? How are you thinking through this? Because that's how you're going to think with them if there's a bad situation that comes up. So like if I'm going to a restaurant and we're on vacation, we always find the ones that we know we like, flipping through the photos, tons of good reviews, and then we actually look at the lowest reviews and read how crazy we think the people are. And if the people have legitimate points and nobody's answered them, we don't go there. But if these people are just a bunch of, I want to speak to the manager because I'm entitled to attention, well, that's great. We know this restaurant's going to be awesome because they basically have no reasonable bad reviews. So you actually have to use it as a customer interaction tool. But then when you are responding to the bad ones, make sure it's like you're understanding you're speaking to the other people that may hire you. You're not speaking to the one person who's pissing you off, because a lot of the time they are unreasonable. So it doesn't really matter. You can't change their mind anyways. That's not what that's for. But
That's a great answer. Thank you. And Keaton, we really wanted to thank you very much for your time, and also your story, your insight, and especially your practical experience. So now we basically come to the last couple minutes for our session. And I like to share the Vision to Reality Foundation's QR code too. And Keaton has all the QR code behind him. You guys can just scan them, and then to understand or get to the website for his business, even for your future use, or you recommend that to your friend, families, whoever need property management services. And for V2RF, and people can just join it to scan our the last page here. And then so we wanted to end the meeting. So Keaton, do you have a last word for everybody?
yeah, if you really like solving problems, go own a business. Because that's what you have to do all day. If you really think if you know of a problem you really want to change, go figure that out. Do it.
Thank you very much. So I believe everybody here really learned something today. So I wanted to thank all the attendees, and especially for our keynote speaker, Keaton. Thank you, Keaton.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.